right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our first Wednesday night stream here at Home Church. I'm Pastor Nate. I'm so excited to be with you tonight. We're late, but it's okay, right? Things happen. This was our first time trying to do a Wednesday night stream. Our grandbaby girl, Stella, had to come over tonight. And well, if you've ever hung out with a 1-year-old, they can throw a kink into the plans. They can mess things up, things that you weren't fully expecting, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have this moment in time just to kind of set aside. Let's unpack God's word. It's just a great time to pause in the middle of the week and see, where am I? Where am I in my week? Where am I in my month? And I don't know about you, but it's just like a good time to just pause and say, where am I with him and with the people around me? I want to continue to dig into it. In the comments down below, I want to hear how you're doing. So I want you just to pick your favorite emoji. I love talking with you. I love to kind of have this back and forth and hear how you're doing. And here at Home Church, we fully expect and want to support people wherever they are in their journey. Wherever you are in your spiritual journey, whether you have a spiritual journey, whether you're trying to figure out what that means for you, or whether you have been a Christian for a long time, we want to walk alongside of you and support you in that journey however we can do that. So I want you to let me know how you're feeling right now with your favorite emoji that kind of describes how you're feeling down in the comments. I want you to go leave that with me. We've been unpacking Matthew chapter 7 for quite some time now. We've been looking at Jesus's Sermon on the Mount. We've been unpacking these really important teachings. One of, if not his first, one of his very first sermons, one that was so important that we get a lot of our biblical teaching. And we've been just like walking through it piece by piece and applying it to our lives, because this whole point of this series, Created, is to look at the life that Jesus has created for us to live. What does it mean to be a man of God, to be a woman of God, to be a Christian? How do I apply these really beginning foundational teachings that Jesus is teaching the people? He's changing their mind. He's showing them a different way, a new perspective. He's tearing down some of these old thought processes, and he's beginning to rebuild what Jesus is here to do, what the Son of God has come here to do. If you missed last week's message, or actually it was 2 weeks ago, we took last week off, but if you missed the last message that we had, make sure that you come back and check out this series, Created. It's been a ton of fun for me to walk through with you, and I've hope that you have enjoyed it as well. But Jesus has now talked about everything he could, right? He's talked about our mindset. He's talked about our money. He's talked about our motives. He's begun to unpack a lot of things. And I think like tonight's teaching, what he teaches tonight in the Sermon on the Mount, it's the pivotal piece of teaching. One could actually argue that it is the teaching, that everything that came before it supports, backs up, or reteaches this. Now, I know it falls later. It falls right at the very end of his sermon, but it is the pivotal piece. He's reiterating things that he's been teaching. He's just doing it from a completely different perspective. Stella's here. You'll probably hear her sometimes. I thought about bringing her here with me on camera and just kind of seeing how that would go. And I was like, I don't know that she's going to hang out with me for 25 minutes or whatever. I love the intro though, where I had her when she was just a baby. She's not a baby anymore. She is full-blown toddler mode right now. But when she comes over here, everybody probably says this about their grandkids, but she's just the cutest thing in the whole wide world. She's so smart. And I constantly hear grandparents telling her, like, she's good. Like, you're a good girl. Like, you're so good. Thank you for helping. Thank you for doing that. We work with a ton of coaches at work, and constantly we hear coaches telling their players that they did good. We seek to be good, but what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to be good? What is this label that we're constantly pursuing after in all of these different areas of our lives? Because the word that Jesus uses, that we translate into good when we read these scriptures, actually has a dramatically different meaning than the way that we use the word. It has a different meaning than the way that we describe like our latest addiction, our latest series, our latest food meal that we've tried, like the way that we use to describe the word good on all of these different things in our lives. The word that the Bible uses actually has a completely different meaning, one that goes way, way deeper. I want to unpack that with you tonight. In your Bibles, go whichever one that reads best for you. But Matthew chapter 7, we're going to start at verse number 7. We've already done the first 6. We're going to start at number 7. I hear Miss Stella. She's throwing a little bit of a fit right now. If you've been around a 1-year-old, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's read these. You've probably heard these a ton. If not, read it for the first time with me. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open for you. English language, Nate. Try it. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks, the door will be open. Ask, seek, knock. Anytime we hear something repeated, some type of either a word or a phrase or like a emotion that he's trying to get us, it's like I'm hammering home a point here. Jesus is trying to teach his people it's going to take some motives. It's going to take some movement from you. You've got to move first. You've got to do the asking. You've got to go do the seeking. You've got to do the knocking. But if you're willing to do those things, Jesus is teaching that he'll answer. I've never had all of my prayers answered. I've prayed. I've asked. I've sought. I've knocked. Sometimes I've knocked till I felt like my arm was going to fall off, till my knuckles were bleeding. And yet there are some things that feel like they go unanswered. They feel like they go untouched. They feel like maybe they even go unheard. It's where faith comes in, right? And it's so easy to be like, okay, like I have to keep seeking. I got to keep knocking. I got to keep praying. Even Jesus gives us parables and stories of the widower who just bugged her judge to death to where he's like, I don't really care about God or man, but this woman is driving me insane. I'm going to answer her. And it's a connection that Jesus is teaching us that we just got to keep praying, got to keep praying. But as a human, unmet expectations lead to frustration. And here I am doing what you told me to do, and you're not answering me. It's hard not to take that personal. It's hard not to let that affect who I am and affect my heart and affect what I do. He's saying, ask, seek, and knock. If you ask, you're going to get it. If you seek, you're going to find it. If you knock, the door is going to be open. Maybe Jesus himself is helping kind of redefine some ideas of what it means to get an answer, to find, and to have a door open for me. Let's go to the next set here. Matthew chapter 7, verse 9, he says, is there anyone among you who, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If then, although you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? This feels like the easiest test in the world. Hey, parent, your kid asks for some bread. Don't give him a stone. Noted. Got it. If he asks for some fish, don't give him a snake. Okay, it's difficult. You're adding another layer here, but I think I got it. The honest truth is, even though I grew up what I would consider really poor and it never really lacked a ton, Mom always found a way, and God made sure to find a way to provide for my needs. I still look back and realize that my version of poor is still abundance for a large majority of our entire world. And when you're spoiled by abundance, rarely do things that feel good to me would they be identified as good to somebody else. Here's the point I'm trying to make. I've never had someone give me bread and thought to myself, oh wow, this is the answer. This is the thing. What a meal that you have given me. You've given me a piece of bread. But to someone who hasn't had food in 3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever it may be, that piece of bread would be the most delicious thing that they've ever eaten in their lives. This idea of redefining what it means to be good. The word here. So he talks about, if there's anyone amongst you, his son asks for bread, will give him a stone, asks for a fish, give him a snake. If you then, who are evil, know how to give good gifts, he's identifying bread and fish as good gifts to their son or daughter, to their children, how much more will your Father give you good gifts? That word for good is tov, a Yiddish word that means, it's pronounced tov. And it means completely different from the way that at least I relate to the word good. The word good to me I think the actual definition just means morally right. It's acceptable. It's just kind of approved. It's sort of like a baseline. It's like, okay, this is good. This is a baseline. The Yiddish word for this word that we now use as good is tov, and it means something much more deeper. That word means to be fulfilled of its purpose. God is saying that when your son or daughter, you as a parent, when they need something, that you understand to give them what they need that fulfills its complete purpose. How much more will your Father do for you? He's connecting this with ask, seek, knock. You're going to get an answer. You're going to find. The door is going to be open. He's connecting these two worlds for us and trying to redefine this word good for us to the actual definition of tov, this deeper definition that he's going to fulfill its complete purpose in you. It's redefining what I consider good, because what I consider good, what I consider morally right, morally acceptable, the baseline neutral, is to answer my prayers, to give me what I want, to don't you hear me? Like, you know what give this to me, answer, give me the job, give me the raise, give me this thing that I want, whatever it may be. And maybe the reason I'm not getting my answer, the reason I'm not receiving that thing that I think I deserve, is because the answer actually is to not give me that thing. That to fulfill its ultimate purpose is to go in maybe a different direction, to answer my prayer in a different way, to give me something even better beyond my wildest dreams, that God understands my entire whole purpose, and he wants to be more than good for me. He wants to be more than a good father. He's a tov. He's fulfilled in its purpose, and he wants me to walk in a fulfilled, purposeful life. He wants me to live in a tov life, one that is filled with purpose. And that doesn't happen by answering every single prayer that I have. Because I know me, my prayers change. So one week I may be praying for this thing, and then the next week I need the complete opposite. I'm caught up in the moment. I'm caught up in the situation. But Jesus is outside of my time, outside of my space, and he understands what I need to fulfill my ultimate purpose. Matthew chapter 7, verse 12 says this: in everything, treat others as you would want them to treat you. This fulfills the law and the prophets. Your purpose, your fulfillment, the tov life that God has for you is only found in how you treat other people. That nugget, that piece, is tied to all the other scriptures, all the other teachings here in the Matthew chapter 6 and 7 of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. It's all going back to, you have to get yourself right, your mindset right. You have to turn judgment inward, because how you judge others is how you're going to be judged. How you treat others is how you're going to be treated. It starts with you first. And if I want to live in purpose and fulfillment, then it's always going to start with how I treat other people. This is what we call the golden rule. And this was not new to Jesus. This was not new to the people he was teaching. This is a statement that has been around for many, many millennia. I hope I'm using that word right. I don't know. This is what happens when I venture into words I probably shouldn't be using. But this was not new to them. But Jesus was using something that they were used to, something they understood, something that they probably heard since they were children, to help them understand a life of tov, a life of fulfilled purpose is found in how you treat those around you. not how I treat not how I treat people that go to my church, that hang out with me, that speak my language, that look like me or sound like me, or that I enjoy spending. How I relate to God is how I treat all people, every single human, the person who cut you off in traffic, the lady who's rude to you at the store, the person who is a pain to you at work, the neighbor down the street who's constantly getting on you about your dog, whatever it is for you. How I treat all people is how I relate to God, because a life of tov, a fulfilled purpose, is going to be found in how I treat others. And as I was praying about this set of scriptures, as I was just thinking through how they connect with us, I love when Jesus just gives me like a little nugget, a different way to kind of look at something. He starts this set of scriptures off in verse 7, ask, seek, knock. I had a job right as we had our second son, Josh, whose last day of high school was today. Boy, don't I feel old now. My youngest son, our baby boy, is no longer a high school student. Well, when baby boy was born, we owned a business, and my wife had been diagnosed with cancer the first time. And so we decided to close the business and just get a regular 9-to-5 so that we would have a steady income and insurance, and we could take care of her and new baby, 2-year-old baby, Justin, and just like life as, 24-year-olds or however old we were back then. And so I got a job doing fundraising. And that job would lead to a lot of the things that I get to do today. This right here is because of that job. I got some of the greatest training I could ever ask for about public speaking and how to overcome that fear. But there was one piece of the job that I hated that literally made me cry going to work every single day. And that was cold calling. Just going to a school, getting out of your car, walking in the front doors where no one knew you, no one expected you, knocking on the office door and asking to sit with the principal. It was a greater fear than standing in front of people giving a speech, giving a talk. I hated cold call. I would sit in the parking lot and just dread being able to open up my door. The bright spot of my day was being able to drive home saying, I can't go see another school. I've hit my 10, 15, 20 school limit for the day, whatever it may have been. I hated cold calling. Ask, seek, knock. All of it is a process. And that's the thing that I love about Jesus, that we care more about the destination, the product, the thing I'm after. When I was doing fundraising, I just cared about signed contracts, just like, let me come do the fun stuff. But that process of introducing myself, of building a relationship, of working that relationship that would lead to a contract, that's the part that was uncomfortable. It was scary. I didn't like the rejection of it. And me and you may be able to relate there. Maybe the reason I don't like to ask and seek and knock is because every time I've done that in my relationships in life, I've been rejected. And I feel like Jesus wants someone to know he will not reject you, and your unanswered prayers is not a rejection. It is an acceptance that Jesus has tov for you, a fulfilled purpose. He has a bigger plan, a better life. And if he gave you that thing, it would lead down a direction that would leave you not fulfilled, would leave you not to your ultimate purpose. You have not been rejected. And if you're like me too, I'm so sick of like chasing after good sermons, good videos, being a good, trainer, being a good, father, husband. I just want this label good. I need everybody to label me good. I want to be good. Most of us can't even describe what that fully means. Instead, I want to live a fulfilled purpose life. I want my life to have meaning, impact, leave an impact on the people around me. I want my life to have purpose. I want my life to be tov. And if you want tov, if you want purpose, fulfilled purpose from all of your things, then Jesus is saying, ask, seek, and knock. And whatever the answer is, it will be one that leads to that ultimate fulfilled purpose for you. Let me pray. Father, I thank you for your word, that you are a Tov God, a good God, a God that has fulfilled purpose for my life. And the word I feel for us, for me today, is that we have not been rejected. You have not rejected us. That unanswered prayer, that space where we thought we were forgotten about, that is not rejection, that is God embracing us to bring us to Tov, to fulfilled purpose. I pray that you would heal your people, that they would come to a place where they give you that brokenness, that I give you that brokenness, that I lay it at your feet, that you put all the pieces together to bring me to fulfilled purpose. I pray that you would bless your people this week in Jesus' name. And everybody said amen. I love you. I hope that you have had a wonderful week. Thank you for hanging out with me. Home Church is a community-based church where we empower leaders to grab their circle of influence, enjoy a meal together, have some worship together, and then just do what we did here tonight. Just unpack the word together. Let's have a conversation. What does this say to you? What does this say to me? How does this apply to our lives? How do we walk this out step by step? And if that's something that interests you, come check us out. Homechurch217.com. 217 comes from Acts chapter 2, verse 17, where we lean on the vision of what we believe God is doing here at Home Church. We'd love you to come hear our story. We'd love to hear your story. It's a place there you can fill out a Connect card. Let us know how to support you. If you're in the New Orleans area, come hang out with us. If not, let us connect with you and connect you with a local community, somewhere that you can find your tribe of people. And then it's super easy. Just come like, subscribe, come join us here on Wednesday nights for our YouTube shorts, for our videos that'll pop up from time to time. We want to support you along this journey. I love you and you matter. And that is what we want our message to be, that you matter and you matter to us. And we appreciate you. So I cannot wait to see you on the next one. Until then, have a great week. God bless.
Smash that like and subscribe.